We are live at ADE 2016 in the heart of Amsterdam, literally in the center of Amsterdam, and I'm joined right now with Benny Rodrigues. How you doing, brother?
Hello, man. All good here. All good. Happy to be here. We're, as you said, we're in the middle of Amsterdam, but you forgot the most special part. We're in like a pimped up wagon with DJ equipment, microphones, equalizer, whatever. Everything is in here, and it's like, I can DJ in here in a car. It's super funny, and we're looking outside, and it's Amsterdam. It's like, everyone is walking around, and we're just sitting in a really nice car with the DJ equipment and everything, and it sounds great, actually.
Wind and
it's super funny.
I saw it out like compression. It's good, isn't it? It's nice. The chain is off. We're off the chain right here, Raymond. You hear that?
Oh, man.
We're locking it down. We're sounding great.
Yes. Amsterdam represent ADE.
What you didn't say is that you've literally just come from a record shop.
Yes, I did. I came from Clone Records, which usually is in Rotterdam, but they have a pop-up shop here, a spontaneous pop-up shop here at the Rokin 75 on the 7th floor. Really nice view. And just for 3 days during ADE, they're doing like some selections from their store in Rotterdam. They have some records here. And I dropped by and just bought some records. Yesterday I went to Rush Hour, which is an Amsterdam record shop as well, an amazing record shop too, and I bought some records there as well. So I'm probably going home with, I think, maybe 100 records or so. And
have you got a record bag?
Actually, the record shops, they give you the bag as well, so that's like a little present. I mean, I bought a lot of records, actually. Maybe 30, and yesterday as well, like maybe 30, 40 records. So I got a record bag as well.
How much are they charging for a vinyl these days? Because I'll be honest, I play like MP3s, WAVs, and that's the way we do it
now. Course.
But I love the fact that you're still buying records. We were talking about crate digging is a joy. It's a joy.
I mean, we were talking about it before. I think the nicest thing about, I'm not gonna go to into the debate of vinyl sounds better, blah blah blah, and digital DJs ain't real. I play digital as well. I play MP3s, I play waves, I play with the CDJ, but I buy vinyl. I buy digitally as well, but I mostly buy vinyl because I believe that the best records, the records that are the most that speaks the most to me, are the ones that are pressed on records. Are the ones where the quality factor is quite high because you have a lot of costs to press the vinyl, and there's a special niche within the vinyl scene which you won't find in the digital scene. So I still buy a lot of records every week, and if I feel the need to play them out, I digitalize them myself, or I ask the artist for the digital copy, and then I play them out. But I'm still, I like to call it vinyl aesthetics, digital efficiency. That's my slogan.
Oh, nice! I like that. You've actually thought about this.
Yeah. It's fun. I've been thinking about because it's some people they say like, hey, well, you always talk about vinyl this and this, but when you play out, I see you play with the CDJs, so it's quite hypocrite. And I'm like, no. My heart is with vinyl. But I'm also a very efficient guy, And when I want to play out, I want to make sure that the settings are good, the sound system, that the record players don't skip or don't feedback.
Hey Ben, look, you don't need to be carrying that record bag anymore,
and that's another thing as well.
It's so heavy.
So I take the best of both worlds.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Look, talk to us about your sets. Talk to us about where we can see you. Are you playing a flow?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, man. I love flow.
Yeah, it's nice. It's from a friend of mine, Frankie Rizzardo, who's really making waves at the moment. Yeah. He's putting some records out on really cool labels, such as Nick Fanciulli's Saved Records and Youssef's Circus Recordings.
Do you know what he did as well, which I thought was really nice? He's got a radio show, Slam FM.
Yes, he did. Yes.
But he did his radio show usually on his podcast, but he did his podcast in English once because people asked for it. Yeah. And I was like, that's him listening to his audience.
That's cool.
That's so cool.
That's cool. No, but he's a cool guy. He's really, hands-on approach, and I like his. I've known him for quite some years now. I think maybe 15 years or so. I've seen him come up. He was playing before in a more commercial kind of scene, and I've seen him grown up from commercial house to some Latin stuff, and now he's going to more tech housey, undergroundy stuff. And he's a cool guy. His flow entourage, his flow thing is really cool. The radio show, the parties. So I'm happy to be part of it. I've played before for him as well, and it's always a cool vibe.
That's just one part. You're doing loads. Yes. Talk to us. Tell us what you're doing, man.
Yes, I'm playing 10 gigs this ADE. But I DJ under two different names. One is Benny Rodrigues, which is the more house and housey side of me. House and techno, but more from a house kind of background. And then I also DJ under a different name, which is Rod, R-O-D. and this is like my more minimal techno kind of puristic side.
Nice.
Where I play more old school techno, 90s techno vibes, a bit harder, a bit deeper, you know. So so I'm playing 10 gigs. I played on Wednesday. I started at Mark Cantina with Penpot. Penpot invites.
Wicked, yeah.
So they have a lot of friends of their label, and so they invited me as well. And then afterwards, on Thursday, I had a panel at the Felix Mauritius.
How was that?
Talking about what are artists doing, what are artists doing during the day. Well, we don't do shit. No. It was a really fun discussion with Dave Clark, Kevin Fisher, Nitin, Eats Everything, and Celeste Siam from Thailand.
Yep.
It was really nice, you know, just vibing off each other.
What a wicked panel as well.
It was super fun.
So
it was
diverse.
Super fun. Yeah,
right?
it was really diverse, and just to see how people experience their daily routine, you know. And I noticed that I'm quite different to all the other people.
Of course.
Because, you know, I'm quite, you know, I don't really have a set schedule. I just go with the flow. I have my studio inside my house, you know. I have everything what I need inside of my living room. So I'm quite, you know, just go with the flow. If I wake up and I feel like making music, I do it. If I don't feel like it, I just watch TV or I do some emails. But there's no set schedule, you know. I don't deal with a manager. I don't deal with an agent. You know, I do my own bookings. I don't have a smartphone. You know, I have an old school phone. So, you know, I kind of, you know, create my own little bubble. And it was funny to discuss this with all the other people, the other artists in the panel. They were like amazed, like, wow, you know, it's such a difference. So that was funny. And then, Thursday night, yesterday, I played at Depot, which is a new club in the north side of Amsterdam.
So many new clubs, so many pop-up clubs.
So many clubs in Amsterdam. Yeah, it's amazing. There's also a new club where I'm going tonight, a Shelter. And there's Claire, a new club, you know, which used to be the Studio 80.
I love the fact you know where you're playing. Like,
of course, I'm part of this, man. This is my role, you know. I'm obligated to know, but even then, I just want to know, you know. It's a scene that I live in, and you know, when I wake up, I always, you know, some people read the journals. I just read Resident Advisor and like all the sides that goes about dance music and house or techno in general, you know. Even if it's not necessarily for me, I just want to be informed about, you know, all the things that are happening in my world.
You're immersing yourself in the scene.
Yes, I need to. It's I'm part of this whole system, and it keeps me inspired, and it keeps me on my toes, you know. And it doesn't even feel like an obligation for me. So
that is
it's cool.
Awesome. I really like it. You know what? I tell you what, it's so refreshing to hear that this is it. This is what you do.
This is it, man. I was telling this at the panel as well. Like Dave Clark was the moderator, and he was asking like, hey guys, what are your plans? Let's say if this all stops, you know, what are you gonna do with your lives? Mm-hmm. And everybody had kind of a backup plan, you know, like It's Everything was talking about maybe being a chef or it was some of the other guys.
Easy.
Yeah, wow, that's too easy. But anyway, but everybody had a kind of a backup plan, and then Dave and me, and especially if I speak for myself, I was quite like, you know, I was quite afraid of this, just thinking about it. Like, whoa, what is? You know, this is me. This is it. I quit school, you know, when I was 15 or 16, you know, just to pursue my dreams, you know, and I'm living this life, and this is all I know, and this is all I have. So, I you know, every day I wake up with, you know, just it being part of me, and you know, so I'm happy to be part of it, and there's nothing else I would rather do. So yeah, this is it. Exactly, this is it. Definitely. Bless you.
I got some car dust.
Bless you.
Excuse me. So with that in mind, what about touring? What's your thoughts? Because it sounds like you like what you know, you like everything around you, so you can just crack on. Yeah. Do you enjoy touring as much?
The funny thing is that my DJ gigs are mostly in Holland. I tour around the world, but since I do my own bookings, you know, I don't play this whole rat race game about, you know, trying to get involved in all the parties around the world. So I play mostly in Holland. I might say maybe 85%. And then, you know, I try to cherry pick like the really cool gigs around the world, you know, such as Berghain in Berlin, where I played 2 weeks ago.
How was that?
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, you know, the club, the infrastructure is great. That's it mostly, you know. I mean, the experience is more about how you feel it in yourself, but everything is there, you know. The infrastructure is there. So this is what I think it's amazing about the club. And let's say, you know, for me it's always a learning experience playing there, because it's, you know, it's like a 48-hour party thing, you know. It just goes on and on. So I'm always learning. But Village Underground in London.
Awesome.
So I try to I'm not necessarily trying to tour around the world just for the sake of touring. I prefer playing in Holland and just get the nice surprises. But it's cool, it's fun. I mean, if I speak to a lot of colleagues of mine, such as Joris Voorn or Derek May, who I've seen before in the hotel, who are always touring, they're happy to do it, but they're always, there's always this travel factor that takes a lot, that sucks a lot of energy off him.
But talking about Joris, like he's made something of it as well by doing his photography.
Yes, I saw it this year. He's really focusing on this side.
So let me just explain briefly that Joris Voorn has done actually at ADE. He's doing Awakenings. He's doing loads of gigs.
He's doing a lot of.
He's doing panels, but he's also doing an art gallery with his photos that he's taken, which is fantastic, right?
He's great. I mean, Joris has always been a really creative guy and really passionate guy, and he's always been about the art side of things as well. I mean, I think I remember him like buying his first professional camera like maybe 5-6 years ago.
Yes.
And he just went with it, and it's cool to see him develop, the way he developed as a DJ and as an artist years before as well. He just dives into it and just takes it, and goes for it. And I've seen him like doing more and more with his photography stuff right now, and it seems to work out for him, so it's cool. I'm happy for him.
I love it.
I'm happy for him.
Benny, talk to me about ADE. Because you're from Rotterdam and we're in Amsterdam. So how do you see it? What is it? What makes it so special?
For me personally, I mean, ADE generally is special for most people from the industry because they get to get together and get to speak face to face, make deals, whatever, try to communicate in a more personal manner. So this is cool for the business side of things. But honestly, me myself, I don't like to do meetings and talk about business and whatever. I'm not into that at all. I like to be at ADE because I get to see all my friends or colleagues at one place. Like tonight, I go to certain parties in between my gigs where I get to hear my colleagues, my friends play. I get a bit inspired myself. Without traveling too far, I can go to another party, which is 10 minutes, on the other side. And
you're going to Gashoede tonight?
Sorry?
You're going to go to the Gashoede?
No, I'm actually going to, there's a Clone Records party, where I bought the records. Yeah, and there's Height, where we're playing on Sunday as well. But tonight is Ricardo Villalobos and Seth Troxler. Yes. So I want to hear them as well. So for me, ADE is mostly about being, I'm sleeping here for 5 days. I'm in a hotel. And for 5 days, I'm playing everywhere and nowhere. But in between, I'm making sure that, I'm going to vibe off all the other parties that are going on, and try to get inspired. And for me, this is ADE mostly, I go outside at the hotel to get a taxi. I see Derek May. I come inside here. I see Sam Proper. I see so many colleagues and so many friends. And, we're all part of this same scene, and you don't get to see each other that often, I mean, if you play together at a party, it's hey, bye. Yeah. But now, everybody's relaxed. Everybody's happy. And you just vibe off each other, and that's a special thing at ADE for me. Just getting to share the moments with friends and colleagues, and just celebrating this whole dance music thing.
What do you think about the let me say about the genreification of dance music, right? Because you've gone and got some records. I know, let's not go too deep, but like, do you think the reason I say this is I think it's diminishing. Mm-hmm. I think there's like the lines between the genres are blurring ever so more.
Yeah, it is.
Do you agree with that? Yeah,
I agree. But honestly, I don't. I mean, I believe in genres. You need to have some sort of classification. Even if it's for people that get started. To give them a little bit of a hindsight or a bit of a starting reference. But for me, I just I believe in two things, or one thing. Good music, bad music. Personally, I've always been into house and techno in the broadest sense of the word. That's always been like my motto. When I started, I was 14 years old in 1997, and I started buying records. And the first record I think I bought, well, not the first, but like the first that might speak to the most of people. Like on one side, I bought a Mood to Swing record, and on the other side, I bought the Advent record, which is more like banging techno. Yeah. While Mood to Swing is very New York housey.
Absolutely.
And these were always like the two sides of me, like house and techno. This is where I came, grew up with in a local club in Rotterdam, Nighttown, where they would play more underground techno on Friday and more housey, mainstreamish sound on Saturday. So this is where I came from, and this is what I still represent. And I'm never really into looking at genres per se, you know, like, this is this style. I'm not gonna play it because it's not my style, you know. I just try to find the good stuff in every genre.
Good.
But the most important thing, you know, there's good stuff and bad stuff. And you know what I've learned throughout the years is that when you're actually being very honest about the music you like and the music you love, and when you're being really, really honest about the music you want to support and want to play out, you don't really get to think about the genres anymore. Yeah. You know, you just find a good record, a record that speaks to you, that resonates with you. And I've also learned that when you're DJing, you know, and you're really DJing with records, you know, tracks that you really, really love and really feel, it just flows, you know. You don't think about, I have to go from this genre to that. No, you just think from, I want to play this amazing record. It takes 6 minutes, and then I play the next amazing record, and it kind of like unfolds itself, you know. So this is amazing, I think, and it's something you have to learn, I guess, you know. Instead of trying to think too much of genres or, you know, does this fit with this, you know, just play the records that you're really in love with, and think, you know, it will find its own way.
You see, that question should have been, give us some advice, because that's basically what what you've just said is exactly perfect for that question, because if you listen,
it works for me.
If you listen to that, play the record you love. That's ultimately what
it's all about. I mean, it's funny because when you read the interviews with artists, and I tend to read a lot, you know, and the interviews are all the same, and then when people ask what is your advice for young people, you know, young upcoming guys, it's always like, stick to your own guns and do your own thing, blah 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 blah. And you would think like, okay, we all know this, you know, but I just noticed throughout the years, I've seen so many friends and colleagues of mine who at some point in their artistic career, they feel like uncertain about their future, or, you know, maybe their ego's taken over, and they you see them kind of wandering off from what they really love, you know, the music they really love. They might try to play something more popular because it might get them more popular as well. And you just feel these things, you know. And the most funny thing is, like, when I see these friends or colleagues wandering off and trying to, moving things into a direction that I know that is not them, you notice that they might be happy for the moment, but they start thinking about things too much. Like when you make a joke about it, you know, they feel very offended. And, you know, and the funny thing with me, I play quite some commercial parties, you know, and I can play quite mainstreamish as well, but, you know, within my edge. I mean, I have like a basis where, you know, my own little niche where I play. Versatility, exactly. Yeah. So, but I also play very underground parties, you know, like very obscure, credible, whatever. And when these people from that scene make jokes about my sets in the more commercial kind of vibe scene, I don't really care. I laugh about it, you know, because I know it's all part of me, you know. So it doesn't hurt me because I'm happy with where I am. And this is what I notice when people are, you know, wandering off and trying to play music they don't really feel, or they, you know, that you know, they don't really stand behind by. You know, you feel that they get very affected, or, you know, very hurt by all the comments around them, and they feel insecure. And this is the thing: when you're really honest about yourself and you really support the music you honestly love, you know, you stand by yourself, you know, and you don't care what other people think. And so it makes things, it makes everything easier, actually, everything, honestly.
If you play every record you love, then you can stand by it. I mean, you'll be confident.
It is, man. It is. You know,
no one can question it.
And you also learn about, you know, when people don't like, you know, when of course I play parties where people, you know, might not love it that much, or, you know, they hate it or whatever, and it happens, you know. But at least, you know, you stand so much behind your own music that you can put it aside. You can say like, hey, listen, this is what I love. You probably love something else or whatever. It's a difference, you know. We don't have to like the same things, but at least, you know, you go home and you'll be like, well, at least I played the music, I stand behind, you know. And, you know, you win some, you lose some. But if you kind of wander off and you start playing other stuff you're not really happy with or whatever, you're just gonna be insecure, you know. Everything that people say, or when you see people are not liking it, you feel even more insecure. And now, you know, if I have a bad gig, you know, at least I hope when I drive home, I'm like, well, at least I like the music I played, and maybe the party wasn't that great, but hey, yeah, fuck it, you know, it's a shame, but yeah, tomorrow a new chance.
Do you know what you've said there is kind of, when you watch, it doesn't matter what you watch. Hello, Watercamp, by the way.
Amsterdam.
If you watch someone,
we're in the car, by the way.
Yeah,
we're still moving in the car. It's amazing.
If you see someone do something they believe in, it doesn't matter because you'll get the passion in the end. You're like a street performer.
Man, yes, it is. I mean, I don't want to say that people automatically gonna, be affected or they're gonna be like influenced by the artists that are just really doing what he really wants, but at least you might get a sense of the person who's performing, like, hey, he's really believing in this, what he's doing, and it kind of, I think it makes it easier for you to try to understand it as well, or at least even realize when you don't even like the performance,
it's an experience.
that you respect, you respect that the person performing is doing something that he's really happy with, and it might feed off, but even not, you still respect it,
Yes.
And this is something I've really learned it through the years, man. You really stay close to yourself, and everything gets so much easier.
Anyone who's listening, growing up, and you've said this, and stay with me.
Yeah.
If you listen to what Benny's just said, really listen to it. Don't just hear it. Listen to all the words that he's used. You will go far because what he said is the truth.
Yeah, it's not even. I mean, go far. It depends how you take it, but you go far on your personal growth.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. It makes it. You create a shield. You create your own little bubble. You feel safe within what you're doing, what you're expressing.
Confidence,
and it gives you confidence. Yeah. It gives you power. It gives you strength. And it gives you. It gives you a lot of power. Just to conquer. Your world, not the world, but your world.
Right. I'm going to ask Benny now. To be a journalist, because he said that he's read a lot of websites like
all day long,
like Resident Advisor, and they will ask the questions.
For example,
all right, so I want you to help me as a presenter. How can I get better? What kind of questions should we be asking DJs? Over to you. Give me 3 questions that would absolutely nail any interview.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because. So I read a lot of interviews, and I've mentioned before, a lot of questions are the same. But personally, I'm quite a nerdy guy. I like to have, see interviews, and Resident Advisors do some pieces on this, like the more nerdy side of a producer or the nerdy side of being a DJ.
Dig deep.
Like. Just going in deep, and like, why are you choosing for this record at this time? What is your mixing style? Why are you choosing to mix it this way? Or, how do you select your records? How do you select your record box?
Yeah.
What is the process? How's your brain work? How's your mind? What's your mind state when you're working and trying to figure out what you're gonna play? Or, just a really nerdy stuff. Most interviews are quite general, and are you looking forward to this gig? Or, when did you start? Which is all cool, but it's for me personally, but it's also because I read so many interviews. I just want to go inside the mind of an artist. That's.
Let me say that again.
Yeah.
And come back at me. So with the questions, you want to get nerdy with the DJs. So say you say to me, you want to get nerdy with the DJs. And let me ask you then, how you file your music. So say I want to get nerdy with the DJs.
Okay, cool. I play digitally, waves, MP3s.
Back. So. Benny, your interviews, you would like to see what? You would like to see nerdy questions?
Yes, I like to see nerdy questions.
Okay, so you like the nerdy questions.
Yes.
However, let me ask you a nerdy question.
Okay.
How do you file your digital music?
Okay. I work with Rekordbox, which is basically your system, like
geeks, come on.
Exactly the way you would search your records, your actual records. So I'm listening to music each and every day. Finding new records, old records, whatever, whatever I can
that's
find.
standard DJ talk.
No. Okay.
How do you label them? Come on.
And then I put like tags on them, like deep, mental, mindfuck,
mental. Hang on.
Trippy.
What is mental then? Give us a mental record.
Mental is more like when there's like a certain undertone in a track, which is
a growl,
like a growl or something like thunderish.
All right.
Not necessarily on the forefront, but like a sneaky sound which can bring you into a certain mind state. I also have like a tag which is trippy, and this is more, and now we're gonna get nerdy, like in a track, especially when I play as Rod, you have techno, and then you have like tracks that goes like 1 2 3 4, like a sequence, but you also have like this really what I call trippy techno stuff where the sequence is more like 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. So when you're on the dance floor and you're not really getting it, you're like, how the hell do I dance to this stuff? But when you're really into it, it kind of takes you to a whole new dimension. So it's like you can also do 1 2 3 5 1 2 3 4 5.
Are you searching when you go to the club? Are you searching those on your tags?
Yes,
You're
I
searching
am.
for those tags in the club?
Yes, well, usually I just go with the flow.
Right.
I kind of, because I know my records pretty well, so I don't really need to search for the tag. I just go and I find the records I want to play. But if I'm kind of, if I'm not sure, I just go with the tags. Like, sometimes I play like 10 hour sets, so I just divide them in certain parts, warming up, deep stuff, dubby stuff, trippy techno, prime time stuff. So, this is really, I think it's really cool, I like to see, with other DJs as well, like, how do they prepare these little things?
Let me tell you mine,
You know what? It's just one thing, like, something that maybe colleagues or friends told me, or people just generally, they say to me, like, I like the fact that how you make DJing look so easy. And it might look easy when I'm on stage, and I'm doing my thing. But it's all the preparing and all the things before, the things you don't see. Yeah. That's where you make all these hours. And when you're and when you put all your effort and all your preparations in this, and then you perform, it makes easier. Yeah, it just pans out, and it makes it easier. And this is what you get to see. It looks easy, but it's all preparing. It's I mean, not too much preparing, but it's all knowing your craft. And just diving deep into this thing.
Do you label your music with a key?
No, not at all. There are two things I would never do, but I'm gonna ask you later on. But there are two things I never understood. It's labeling in key and labeling in tempo. I never got this. I see many DJs that are maybe it makes sense actually for a UK DJ who play many different tempos. Like two-step and then garage and then house and then But for me, I don't even think about keys or tempo. I never done this. I just go with the flow. But it's funny because I've played with some DJs and I was looking and I see how they select, their playlists are based on tempos or keys, and I'm like, why? I just don't get it. But it's not a judgmental thing. It's more like I just don't get it because I don't come from I don't have this background. So tell me, what is the reason why you should arrange things in key, especially?
I do it for this is what I do. I label the music.
Yeah.
I subcategorize it.
Yeah.
So I've got heavy beats, electro, and deep.
Yeah.
All right, electro can be like, main stage, whatever.
Yeah.
Because you don't know when you're going to need it.
No.
But then once you go into that category, you then label it with the key.
Uh-huh.
And then you choose your selection without looking at the key.
Okay.
And say, right, I'm going to put that there, I'm going to put that there, I'm going to put that there. And then you look back and say, oh, good, yeah, it was right.
But does it affect the way people will perceive the music?
Well, no, I think you see the pattern. Like you obviously how the records are going to unravel.
Yeah.
But then it gives you a confidence to go, yeah, musically this key change will actually work.
Oh, that's funny, man. I've never ever thought about these things because, I mean, the music I generally play, it's generally more minimal stuff and it's quite beat-ish, and there's also melody, of course, but. I try to play the records that I really have confidence in, so I try to let them play out. I mean, I have some colleagues who I used to play with, like Michel de Hey, which is another Dutch DJ, and we did a lot of back-to-back sets. And I remember the first time we did this, he was playing his records. Like when we were playing, he used to play his records, and like we would play one record each of each other, and he would play his records, and then after 2 minutes he would tell me like, okay, you can mix your record in, and I'm like, it's 6 minutes long, why do I need to mix it in right now? And he's like, well, the break is not so interesting, and blah blah blah, and he would do the same to me, and I would hate it. I would be like, come on, if you feel the need to mix your record really quick or use him as a tool. I mean, there's a style, there are DJs who use this as a style, like Ben Sims, he's mastering it. Yeah. But, I was joking to Michelle, I'm like, if you want to play your records really fast and, you want to mix them really fast, maybe you should find more interesting records, records that you want to hear for 6 minutes. So,
yeah.
Well, and this is a funny thing, like, at some point, we got there, like, we took, I tried to play the records that are, just let them go out. So the thing with the mixing thing is that at some point, when the team is over and etc., and you get to the more beatish part, that's where I mix the next record in. So I never had to really think about, mixing in keys because I would never even try to mix two melodies into each other. Yeah.
So let's talk about some other artists right now.
Cool.
So people who've inspired you. Give me three major DJs because you've gone into a record shop and bought some vinyl.
Yeah.
Give me 3 classic acts that have inspired you to where you are today.
Okay. Well, one is Michel de Hey.
Yep.
Because he's the first DJ that actually got me into this whole thing when I was 13, 14 years old. There was a radio show called Planet D, a local radio show in Rotterdam. And as a kid, I would listen to this radio show because my father would have it on. And, before that, I was into hip-hop, commercial music, just general music. And when he was playing like really obscure techno, underground stuff, and I was a kid, I didn't know what it was. I heard like unknown frequencies. I was like, whoa, what the fuck is this? So, it just grabbed me, and I just followed it all the way through. So for this, Michel will, we became friends and good colleagues now. But for this, Michel will always be a big inspirator for me because he's the one with his music that really got me into this whole thing. 2 is Derek May. He's one of my all-time favorite DJs because he doesn't think about genres as well. He just plays good shit, and you don't even the way he plays it, you don't even realize that you're listening to house or techno or he just checks it up. His mixing style is unique. His energy. I'm really inspired by him. It's just he puts his soul and his sweat into it.
He comes off like he's played a game of basketball.
I mean, when you look at him, he has his face. I call it the shithead face. Like when you're trying to take a shit, like he puts his face on.
Screw face.
It's like I'm going into war. So he's putting his. I mean, you have already like John Digweed. Where I respect. But the way when you see him DJ, it's so different than when you see Derek May. Yeah, he just stands still and he's focused and he's doing his thing and he's good at it. Gelling. But Derek May, when you see him, and even if you don't like the music, you see him just like he's fighting his way through everything. I just love that.
That's the energy. And one more, come on.
Jeff Mills. Oh, he's like especially for my Rod alter ego. Jeff Mills, the way he plays his techno, like especially when he goes deep, when he does his really, it's like trippy mindfuck stuff, and really deep and atmospheric.
Let me recommend.
Techno. Yeah.
Check out his. He did the score to the rescored Metropolis.
He did.
Sick,
No, he's really into his movie soundtrack stuff as well. I must say honestly, I mean I love all his sides, but it's especially like he has his label Oxys when he got like his Sleepers Look at the Sky series where it's all about spacey sequences and spacey themes and everything. Very minimal, and it's very inspiring for me as Rod, as my techno alter ego. The way he makes these stuff, it just when I close my eyes and I feel like I'm in space and so he's one of my all-time favorite artists as well. Definitely.
Well, look,
and they're all playing at ADE. So.
Yeah. The Uber is finished. The
credits ran out. This was amazing.
It's been an absolute pleasure. You know what? For me, it's been really great to really get to know you.
Thank you, man. It was a big pleasure talking to you.
I feel like musically, I know exactly where you're at now.
So thank you, man.
If you're listening to this, watching this, you feel the same. Like we've really got to know you. Like you said, really geeked out a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. But also, this is special, man. We're in a car, in a Mercedes. I don't know which one, but like there's it's funny. You're just vibing it off here. Like from Rokin to my hotel, and we're just touching so many subjects, and it's very efficient but super fun as well. No, it was really great.
I'm sure we could talk for a lot longer. I know that we've arrived at our destination, and unfortunately I have to say goodbye, but it's been an absolute pleasure, and this is what Amsterdam Dance Event is all about, right?
Oh, definitely. Excellent. Getting all together, celebrating the dance.
Benny, pleasure.
Thank you, man.
Happy days, man.
Likewise.